Hello, everybody. I'm just going to triple check because I always do to make sure. I'm just looking at my other screen to make sure that we are live on Facebook. It says that we are. Yes, we are. There we are.
There we are.
There we are. Okay, guys. So today I am super excited. We have one of my, most brilliant and most dearest friends.
Keep talking.
Monika Tupholme on to come and talk to us basically about how we can work out smarter, not harder. This is a massive topic that is covered so much in the weight loss industry, but with all of the misinformation out there, I wanted to bring on Monika because she's such a wealth of information. And I'm not going to intro her because she's going to do it because I can't even do this woman justice. And unless, of course, she forgets stuff, and then I'm going to throw it in. But yeah, she's just such a wealth of information. So I just wanted to come on here to kind of set the record straight because, like I said before, there's so much information out there that it can get so overwhelming. And especially right now when we have the least amount of time on our hands, I want to make sure that we're optimizing the time that we do have. So Monika, welcome. Would you mind just kind of giving everybody a sense of who you are and your history and background and everything?
The scoop, the skinny. Well, the professional skinny is that I am a certified personal trainer as well, but I am a function, nutrition, and functional fitness specialist. I specifically work with women in their 40s. A lot of women come to me wanting to increase either athletic performance or just performance with work and in life, stabilize energy, lose some fluff. And they want to do it with diet and nutrition and fitness. But what they leave with is really life integration and just making this work. And everyone's chaotic over 40 life long term. I am 47 myself, have 2 kids, had kids, I guess, relatively, what some consider later in life. And am a former professional athlete in the previous chapter. And I think really came into this realm because I felt it too. Like, listen, I went from height of my career, in control of my body, what I put in effort wise, especially in the fitness realm, I got out in my athletic performance and just how I look and felt about myself. And then came to getting married, having kids, and the whole life change that happens and body change that happens with that. And then trying to adapt, obviously, post kids and getting a sense of myself back, my waistline back, my vitality back, everything like that. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what I do and my story.
Amazing. Which is huge because I've got to tell you, there's something about obviously like having kids, but there's also something about, as we get older, things just don't work the same way anymore. So to be able to have that, the knowledge and the experience to capitalize on how you can work with, all of these obstacles, I think is key. So let's dive in. There's so many different things that we are going to cover today. So first things first, I think when it comes to weight loss, fitness is obviously huge in terms of having it as a component that we can include to sort of get those results. But what would you say? I also think too that it's also a massive, because it's huge, it can also be something that, women are making major mistakes on. So what would you say are, maybe the top 1 to 3 mistakes that women are typically making nowadays when it comes to fat loss fitness?
Awesome question. And if you guys have questions at all, make sure you ask them.
I'm going to watch it.
I honestly think it starts with changing the narrative. And the old narrative being that we need to burn off the calories to see results. Like how many of you guys are like, I want to lose weight, I need to work out more, right? That is the mentality that we tell ourselves. That's the narrative that we tell ourselves. We have a binge Saturday, we had pizza, wine, cake, better be ice cream cake, all the goodies. And then the next day you're like, I got to work out harder. I got to burn off that meal. We need to change that narrative. That's very 1990. Let's get rid of it. The new narrative, especially as we get older, is that exercise is not there to lose weight. Exercise is there for us for functional fitness, meaning like we can get out from the couch when we're 80, not have snap, crackle, pop, run after our grandchildren one day. It's there obviously for longevity and vitality and taking care of our internal systems and organs. It's there for stress relief if it's done correctly. It's there for body image and body connection, but it's not directly there to burn off the calories. Okay, so I think when we change that narrative in our head right away, we automatically lose that sense of guilt. Because like how many of you guys are probably feeling, or how many of your community, Lindsay's feeling guilty because they're like, I should be working out right now. I should be working out more right now. My gym's closed. I should be doing these at-home workouts. I should be doing this, and just changing the narrative. So that's a big one. The next thing I will say too, that I see what a lot of women are doing and sabotaging the results is not thinking about the foundation first. So exercise and getting that long, lean, toned muscle that a lot of us love and want really begins, as we know, a lot with nutrition. And, you know, working with someone like yourself, Lindsay, and making sure that you have a solid nutritional base in there, and start incorporating the workouts. It's like building a house without a foundation. Okay. At one point it will crumble. We can all muscle ourselves through like a 21-day beach body hit blast. We all can do it, but what happens when it's done? Right? And we don't have the nutrition to support it. And even before nutrition, I always talk about with my clients is SWS. I call it sleep, water, and stress. Okay. So making sure we have foundational principles. And the last thing I would say, the third thing, is still having, I call it the New Year's groupies, right? Like, I know you and I have talked about this before. We're not fighting against the New Year's resolutions anymore. Like, we just surrender to it because they're not going away. But that whole mentality of like, I'm doing it this time, start fresh Monday, go big or go home. I'm all in. And we throw away the ideology of just doing small increment steps, okay, that create the lasting results and allowing our bodies to adapt. Because again, we are not 20 anymore. We are aging and our bodies need time. I think I'm still 20 in my mind, but our bodies need time to adjust and adapt. So I think those are the three biggest ones for sure.
I love that. I love that. Sorry, I just had to put myself on mute because my husband was putting the baby down, and we all know how that goes. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so then, you know, oh my God, I just love the idea of, you know, especially because I mean, I think for me too, one of the biggest transformations that I made for myself from a mental standpoint with working out was that whole, you know, if I missed it every single, like, you know, if I got up in the morning and if something happened and I missed it, I just felt horrible. And I would just like guilt myself into it. Sometimes it would even throw me off to the point then where my nutrition was thrown off for the rest of the day. Like I'd be like, well, whatever, like I missed my workout, like it's all. So I love the whole idea of, you know what I mean? Just like breaking those patterns to sort of set the stage for a new thought process that's a lot more healthier and a lot more sustainable. Because I think, especially for women who are busy, that's what we want the most. We want something sustainable. We don't, you know, it's like, it's exactly like you said, we'll do the beach body thing, but then like, what's after that? Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Can you sustain 5-6 workouts a week? And listen, like I have clients that they're training for half marathons. I have an ultra marathon runner right now. They train, but this is a different goal. Like, so realizing what your goals are, and then really realizing what realistic energy demands that you have on yourself, and changing that narrative to being what the benefits of exercise and mind body connecting and doing the work will do.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, so this is another, I'm so excited for this question because I think it's a really good one. So what types of workouts would you say that women are doing that are sabotaging their success? And what would you, or are there workouts, and what would you recommend instead?
Okay, so bit of a loaded question that I'm going to give a really lame answer to, because I know women are like, oh yeah, what is it? The lame answer really is it depends on your age, your health history, and your goals. Like I just mentioned, I have clients that are training, they're putting in serious hours per week because of a set goal. Now, if your goal is to sort of have the exercise benefits that we spoke about before, longevity, smaller waistline, just feeling better about yourself, mind body connecting. I really think one of the ways that women are sabotaging yourself is that cardio mentality, right? It's that
I'm a reformed cardio queen.
so was I. And you know what? No fault of our own, because listen, it worked, right? It worked because we're metabolically more adaptive. And this is not an anti-cardio. It has its place, but we have to be very, very careful about overtraining, very careful about our cortisol insulin seesaws, and really that triggering of our body just to hold on to fat for protection, right? And it doesn't matter how hard you work out, how clean you eat, if your body needs the fat, it's going to hold on to it. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say there's one pinpointed workout that is not as like a total don't. But I will say this: consistency when it comes to exercise is the biggest thing as mm-hmm. well, right? So finding something that is sustainable in your life, making sure that it's very important that we have rest and restorative phases in there as well. We're not overusing body parts because, again, we're not metabolically as reactive as we were 10 years ago, and we have to work with that, right? So that's kind of a lame answer, because it's easy for me to say, do HIIT 3 to 4 times a week, lose some weight, but that might not be adaptable into your life. But the one thing I will say is just be careful of that cardio mentality and hitting that elliptical or that Peloton or whatever it is, day in and day out, because you're triggering some different hormonal imbalances there that we do not want once we age.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I think the thing is too, is that for me, I also never wanted I always wanted to look like strong. I never wanted to like, you know what I mean? I never wanted to be just like skinny, but like not, I wanted to be tight. I wanted to like look good. So that's why I think I always reverted back to, in my mind, I mean, when I was my cardio queen, when I made this switch, I was like, I'd so much rather spend, if I have 30 minutes, I'd so much rather spend that training my muscles so that I can feel strong and look strong than 30 minutes on the treadmill, for sure.
Yeah, and it goes back to that burning calories mentality, right? I need to burn those calories off. And that's a bigger conversation for sure. But it's really more about the mind-body connection, right? So making sure, and the consistency. Like I think all too often women get this motivation and they're going to like, I'm going to run 5K, but they haven't run in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or again, they're going to, start some challenge, where they're working out 5-6 days a week when they haven't really done anything consistently in 3 or 4 months. And that's where we get into some detriments with those fat storing hormones that we really, really don't want.
Okay. And so for those women who who have the Pelotons and who have the ellipticals and everything at home, like, what would you say to them?
I would say you have to, again, create a balance with it, right? If it's something you love, do it. If it's keeping you consistent, amazing. But just remember that we are just not as metabolically reactive as we were before. And we have to be conscious of the duration, not so much the intensity of the movement, but the duration of the movement that you're doing. And if the duration happens to be one that it's like, you're on there for an hour, or you're a CrossFitter or whatever it may be, then we make sure we balance it with those rest and restorative days. It's super important. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing I would say is to, the Peloton ellipticals, treadmills, people out there, women out there, mm-hmm. What a stereotype. Anyways, so I would say what's the goal, right? Like if your goal is fat loss, and you're doing these things repetitive, you're burning fat in your target fat zone, right? Your heart rate zone, which is about 70% of your maximum heart rate. You're burning fat in that time, but there's no afterburn effect. What about burning fat on the days where you wake up dog tired because your kid was up 2 or 3 times the night before, and the last thing you feel like doing is a 20-minute hit, high intensity interval training, because you're just dog tired. But what you did the day before, you have a little bit of leeway because you have an afterburn effect. That's the definite thing to think about, right? So if your goals, definitely, we never want to negate heart health and cardiovascular health, which, machines like that are great for. But if it's for fat burning and those long, lean muscles and lasting results, we have to be really careful and get into the more afterburn effect.
Okay, so can you just sort of explain this concept of like this afterburn effect? Because I think it's like amazing.
So afterburn effect is when we put our bodies in any type of resistance. So this goes away from the cardio. If we put our bodies under any kind of resistance, we put our muscles under any kind of resistance. Basically, what we're asking our muscles to do is tear apart and then build back up into stronger, leaner muscle. And to do that requires a tremendous amount of energy from our body. Okay. So when we've done something like, an intensity training or some kind of resistance training, we've asked our muscles to break apart, and we're going to build them up. And that takes that energy. Like I said, that can happen hours, days afterwards, that energy demand. That's where you feel like the onset of, soreness or anything like that, especially peak 48 hours after an intense exercise. So much energy taking it to rebuild the muscles. Plus, women have to remember, when we're stuck in an aerobic exercise, so it's really tapping into your aerobic system, which is like a lot of your cardio system. That transition to anaerobic, where we're using more of our resistance and a different system, is huge for women. And that's when our bodies reshape. And that's when you get into the detriment of the cardio, the Peloton, every single day or something like that. Nothing against Peloton. Disclaimer. Also, Lindsay, I got a letter from Peloton. Hasn't happened before. But you know what I mean? So making sure we transition from one system to the next is important. And it takes up a lot of energy. And guess what's energy, guys? Fat, right? Fat is our most accessible, readily available, for some of us, form of energy that our body wants and will go for. So if we're asking our body to use that energy for days after a workout, that afterburn, amazing. Stored energy for fat while you're sleeping.
So just to be clear, so then like doing cardio essentially allows you to burn fat in the moment.
Exactly.
But then doing weight training allows your body to burn fat even long after your workout, basically.
Correct. Because you're using so much energy to rebuild and reshape those muscles that you've asked through the
getting
resistance.
more bang for your buck.
Working out smarter, not harder. 100%. And the best thing is that transition from that aerobic to anaerobic systems can happen in like 10 to 15 minutes, right? Like we're not saying, you have to do like a 45-minute class or something like that. Like we're talking about small bursts of intense exercise, right? At your intensity, which is going to be different from my intensity. That's when you can still break down the muscle enough to get that afterburn effect where you're using energy to rebuild it.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so then just on the whole idea of working harder, working smarter, not harder. If you like, there's so many women that I talk to that are like working out 5 or 6 days a week. Some of them not even seeing results, which is even worse when you're putting in all of that time and energy. Like how much would you say typically like we should be working out to sort of achieve like our goals?
Okay, so big question, and probably the big elephant question in the room, right? Because again, online, you can have anyone from Dr. Oz saying, you need 30 minutes a day to like someone saying, do 10 hours a week. Again, lame answer is it depends on your age, your health history, and your goals. That's a big caveat for sure. Because again, my ultra marathon runner is going to be different from a mom that just wants to lose some of the post baby weight. Right. So, but again, it's switching that narrative and realizing how can we still allow our bodies to rest and recover in between the workouts. So if you can commit to and do 3 15-minute workouts, for example, and maybe do a couple of yoga flows in there, great recovery. Exercise is great. Okay. As long as it's booked in and doable in your schedule. The biggest thing that I will say that it's more about doing things consistently and correctly. Right. So if someone says to me, okay, I'm just starting out, how often should I work out? I would love to see you just work out once or twice a week and be consistent with that for 2 to 3 weeks. And then we add in something else. And then we can add in something else. Okay. Depending on how your body adjusts and your schedule adjusts. So that's the biggest thing I would say is never sit there and say, oh my God, I need to work out 3 or 4 days this week to achieve the results. Because then again, you can have body backlash like we just spoke about, but rather, okay, what can I feasibly do that feels good? That's not me thinking I need to burn off yesterday's pizza and will allow me just to connect with my body again. So start with the 2-3 days a week, build up from that. Okay. Start with small increments of time, build up from that.
Okay. And I love that idea too, because for me, one of the things, I mean, even at my peak pre-kids, I was probably working out maybe 4 days a week. But I remember for me, it was so important. I treated exercise almost like my secret weapon because it was nice to be able to have something that I could build on as opposed to totally max myself out from the jump off and have absolutely nowhere to go.
Exactly.
So by having by starting off with 1 to 2 days a week, getting consistent with that, your body starts to adapt to it. Then all of a sudden you add a 3rd day, total game changer. You know what I mean? Or it's amazing how people think that they just need to do all of this stuff. So just get it all now. And I'm like, no, you have to think about the long game because down the road, you could hit a plateau, adding an extra day of whatever is going to that may blow you out of it. And then all of a sudden you're you know what I mean? There's so many strategic ways of looking at it that way.
There is. And it's all about the guilt, like you mentioned, right? And, for those people that work out 5-6 days a week, when someone comes to me and says that, and I'm not seeing any results, first off, question I ask is, why are you working out 5-6 days a week? Not to be judgmental, but just to honestly ask. Maybe you're in a sport that you love. Maybe you love the community of your Orange Theory. Maybe, it's something. It's just, but then from there, what's the goal? Right. So a good example of this, I had a client, Nicole, mom of 4, all under the age of 11, I believe. Former NCAA champion in rowing, huge athletic background, always a smile on her face, super positive, one of those people that just lights up your room, right? And she was working out sometimes with a baby in tow, in those carriers, 5-6 days a week. And her goal, I said, why? She's like, I feel super guilty if I don't. And I want to I'm not asking to be Cindy Crawford. I just want to lose some of the baby weight around my middle. She's like, that's it. And when I asked her to scale back her workouts to 3-4 times a week, she looked at me like I had 3 heads. She was like, WTF, what? And I said, what's your instant thought right now? She's like, my instant thought is I'm going to get
fat.
I'm going to get fat. And I said, when you're older, especially post having children, because we have kids, it's we do a little hormonal shuffle in there. It's a different game. Okay. And now it's time to work out smarter, not harder, and just scale it back. I said, if you want to still designate a time for yourself to work out, that's amazing, but change the style of the workout. Do a yoga yin flow, go for a nice walk, hike, go for a leisurely bike ride, whatever it may be, but we're not doing that intense, like pounding it.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 weeks, she lost almost 8 pounds of just, it's inflammation, right? Her body was just, okay. I don't know what the direct fat loss would be, but it's just the impounds. You have a little in there.
No, sorry. Melanie, my client, just popped on and she said, I told her the same thing. She was working out 5 days a week. I'm like, take it down to 3. And she said her face did the exact same thing.
Yeah. Because it goes against that go big or go home, which we talked about earlier, right? And we're go-getters, we're moms, we're doers. We're like, the more effort we put in, we should be getting this out. I call it sweat equity. It's different now.
It's totally different. Totally different. So
Yeah.
can you just sort of explain, and I know that we've talked about the cortisol thing, but can you just explain how the intense workouts, because this might, I don't want to get too sciencey, but like how these intense workouts impact your cortisol, which have like, and then we'll have like the reverse effect of what you want.
Mm-hmm. So basically, for you guys, cortisol is I call it your get stuff done hormone, right? It wakes you up in the morning when you're running around like crazy, getting stuff done. Cortisol helps. And cortisol gets, obviously, especially right now with everything that our substitute normal going on, is getting a huge bad rap because everyone's stressed to the mines. They got so much on their plate and everyone's talking about cortisol. But cortisol is actually a really essential fat storage hormone. Like we need it. We just need to learn how to work with it, not against it. So what happens, say we jump on a treadmill, just as an example, when we start moving, our heart rate elevates. Naturally, our cortisol elevates because it's triggering in our mind, our hypothalamus, so, okay, she's doing something, something's going, something's happening. Let's raise up our cortisol to get it done. After a certain period at a raised heart rate, your cortisol will level off again. Okay. Then what it shows is that around that 35-40 minute mark, your cortisol peaks again. Because basically, if you're doing the same type of exercise, same type of motion, your brain is saying, oh my gosh, she's running. What is she running from? Is it a saber-toothed tiger? It doesn't know that you're on a treadmill for 20 minutes. It's thinking that you're in war and you're running. So as a natural protection to your body, your brain's thinking like, she's running, she must be running from something. Up goes the cortisol again. Okay. When that cortisol gets at that peak, our insulin resistance comes down. Okay. Without getting too sciencey. This is a lot of times after people have done really intense cardio sessions, you feel like you can eat the whole pantry afterwards. Because our blood sugar, our glucose has totally been depleted, but also we have no insulin to come in and help regulate those urges and those snacks and the blood sugar coming back up. So there's a fine line there. This is by no means me saying don't work out for more than 30 minutes, but we do need to be conscious of that. And again, how do we cope with that? It's with rest and restorative exercises afterwards, right? It's incorporating rest days, it's incorporating recovery days, and allowing our body to heal and repair itself, which takes more time as we're older. Okay. So that's basically cortisol increase in a nutshell.
I love that. It's so funny too. It's the exact same thing with weight loss. Like I always say to my clients, like in terms of nutrition, we need to feed you as much as possible. We need to get as much food in you as possible. And people are like, are you crazy, girl? Have you lost your mind? Everything else out there is telling me to cut. And I'm like, no, this is the opposite. And so it's so glad that, you know, especially from a workout perspective, it's along the same lines. It's actually about nourishing your body and like giving it what it needs and taking like, you know, just taking it down. You can actually get more by doing less. Like that's the truth.
Yes.
Okay. So let's dive into recovery. Cause I know that you're huge on it. So why is recovery so important?
Basically in a nutshell, our bodies need time to heal. And if we have basically torn things apart and are asking our bodies to rebuild in that stronger, leaner muscle and frame that we want, it takes time. And if we are constantly at it day after day after day after day, there's no time for that muscle to heal. And then basically what happens is that you get an exhausted muscle that just basically the rest of your muscles or skeletal system will compensate for in some way, shape, or form, aka injury. Right? We start overcompensating for, because it's maxed out, it's tired. It's like, I'm not getting stronger. I don't have, the amino acids here to rebuild. I don't have any protein synthesis. I'm out. So that's basically why it's really important. And there's no, again, it depends on your goals, depends on your age. There's no set like, okay, work out one day, rest the next day, work out harder one day, rest the next day. It really is individualized to you. And that's why I think it's really important that we seek experts like yourself and your husband, right? That just know how they can make a system that works for you and your goals, right? That's super important, because what would work for me won't necessarily work for you.
Totally. It's so
Did I answer your question?
I think you did. Well, we were just talking about like why recovery is so important, because I think it not like gets a bad rap, but like, there's that whole like rest is for the weak and you're supposed to, like, I think the number one thing being married to a personal trainer is, that he always says that just drives him crazy is his clients are like, I just want to feel like I'm dead. Like, I just want to like leave the workout sweating my balls off, totally exhausted, and then they want to do that like 5 or 6 days a week, and then he's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
because realistically there's a way to do it where you can actually achieve your goals, spend less time working out, and look even better, which I think for all of us would be, I mean, like even with my clients, like when I talk to them about it, even with the limited information I have, well, just based on obviously living with a personal trainer, like it's just kind of like, wouldn't you rather have, like, if you're working out an hour every single morning for 5-6 days a week, wouldn't you rather have 2 or 3 of those hours back to do whatever it is that you need to get done, to like, to meal prep, to hang out with the kids, to like, it would just be amazing. Like, I think personally.
100%. Right. And just, it goes back to your goals. Like, why are you doing it?
And I think that that's the thing, is like, people think that they need to work out more. And in reality, I mean, for those of you who like, if you follow me on any form of social, like if you follow, like, take a look at my husband, like he's absolutely ripped and only works out 3 days a week, as do I. Like, it would be just because like this, that's just what we need. That's what we need to achieve our goals. That's what we need to feel good. And you're able, I think that's the one thing that's so important to know, is that your goals are still achievable, even with that, even doing it.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, by no means am I saying here, like on those rest days, like sit and watch Netflix and eat bonbons, right? It's not about that, but people have to understand, that women have to understand there's a difference between exercise and movement, right? Like, exercise is that designated time really to mind body connect. When you're sitting on a bike reading a book or watching a TV show, that's not exercise, right? Like the intensity levels that you spoke about, that's what you want. You want that sweat, you want that feel good, you want that burn, for sure. But there's days to do that and days not to do that. But I think a lot of women need to focus more on the movement part of it, right? And it's funny because a lot of us have these little, I don't have mine on now, but the little calorie trackers, right? Like, count your calories through the day. And if you notice, exercise really counts for a small percentage of your daily caloric output, right? So where's the other daily caloric output going? Digestion, other organ, skeletal function, sleep, for sure. But then your non-activity movement, right? Which is super important and often overlooked. Do you have a question? Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, this is good. That I want you to dive into this, because especially for women who don't have a lot of time right now, this is huge. Okay, so let's dive in.
Let's dive into it. So this is the area where actually you can burn up to 200% more calories than exercise. I'll say it again, 200% more calories than exercise. And if you're coming in wanting to lose the fluff and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to exercise more, but I haven't exercised in a long time, then listen to this because this is really where it starts. And I'll say the benefits later, but really that non-exercise thermogenesis, the NEAT as we call it in the workout and nutrition world, which basically is our calorie expenditure aside from the things I mentioned, your sleep, digestion, or movement. Okay, so these are the things where you're breathing, right? You're moving, you're taking laundry up and down the stairs. These are the movement exercises that generate burned calories. Okay, they generate that calorie expenditure. So, for example, if you're a mom that maybe not so much now, but maybe you had an office job or you went into office and you found yourself very sedentary for 8 hours, movement and that NEAT is more important than the actual exercise, right? Because you're probably thinking, I'm sitting for 8 hours, but I got to go home and do that 20-minute HIIT exercise. I would actually implore you to do more NEAT, more movement throughout the day, burn more calories throughout the day. That helps with lowering your insulin, lowering your cortisol that we just spoke about, helping us become sort of hormonally and metabolically more balanced so that we can, when we want to have those intense workouts, our body can attack it. It can adjust to it. Okay. If we try to go from this, again, it's the New Year's groupies, we try to go from 0 to 100, your body's just going to go, whoa, revolt, hold on to fat. Right. So really focusing, if you're a mom and you're just like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time to work out, put it aside, focus on your movement, focus on that daily expenditure outside of exercise. What's a good example of it? And I know a lot.
Just going to ask you that.
Example. So, and people are doing it a ton right now. Like I saw a meme the other day with a dog at the end of the driveway that's just like, no more walks, I'll walk you, right? Because people are walking so much more, which is amazing. So the biggest, everyone's like, what is it? Walking. So it's a designated time, again, for you to go outside, ground yourself. If you can do it by yourself, even an added bonus.
Oh my God, it's the
right. Go for a 15-minute walk by yourself. I did yesterday at Mother's Day. I was like, bike ride, 2 bike rides. I'm out of here. See you later.
Marcus asked me, it was so funny. In the morning, he was like, what do you want for Mother's Day? I was like, to be away from my children. I'm out of here.
My husband doesn't get it. I ask for it all the time. Birthday present. I'm like, I want 24 hours by myself in the house. Like, I don't want to pack up stuff. I don't want a hotel room. I want everyone out. Leave the dog. He doesn't get it. He's like, what do you mean?
No.
But walking. So if you can get outside, walk. Okay. Everyone's, well, how long? However long you can make it work. Just get it done. Okay. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. This is not a brisk, like, get your heart pumping with your girlfriend walk 6 feet apart. But this is just a time for you just to create movement. Okay. 300% increase if you can walk 30 minutes every day in your non-exercise thermogenesis. Okay. Which is, again, getting your body more hormonally balanced, getting your internal heat and energy rising. It's just amazing benefits. Okay. So even before you say, oh my God, I need to do that, I need to get in that workout or do that video, I would actually love it for you to go out and just walk for 30 minutes. Walk. On your restorative days, walk. Right? It's the beauty of it. Don't need anything for it, just a good pair of shoes. And that's it.
That is
maybe some good tunes. Bruno Mars coming at you, and that's about it. But yeah, it's often very overlooked, and really counts for, like I said, so much of our energy expenditure.
Which, if you think about it too, like, especially as a mom, like, I mean, granted, my kids are babies, so I am actually like running after them a lot. But like, you know, the majority of like we're running after our kids. Like, I'm chasing Maddie up and down the stairs like a million. Like, my NEAT, if I really think about it, is off the chain someday. Yeah. Like, and it's crazy.
It's crazy. So with the crazy days though, then I would recommend even having days to ground you. Okay. So if you can relate to that, and when watching that, you're just like, I'm running around with my kids. I get more than 10,000 steps a day because I don't stop from like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. Fair enough. But then we need to bring it down, right? Because that cortisol, the energy expenditure is up. What's going to refill the bucket? How do we ground ourselves again? Walking. right?
I love
Leisurely walk outside.
And even I think too, like you mentioned earlier, yin yoga, like those sort of like restorative like types of yoga are
Yep.
so amazing, especially right before bed. Like I don't
Mhm.
know why, but there's nothing better than just having like a nice long 15-minute like stretch it
Yeah.
out right before bed. I think it's
Yeah.
just incredible.
It's a lot of breathing, right? And breathing has been known as one of those um, exercises that can lower your cortisol, like instantaneously, right? Like if we get it, like I know that's another rabbit hole, like stress busters and everything, but and we know what everyone's like self-care and journal it out and meditate, which are all amazing, but those are practices, right?
Hmm.
They take time to do to get some kind of benefit from. But something like you said, just like a nice flow, a foam rolling, okay, something like that, that you just breathe through, takes 10-15 minutes, and it's fantastic for your body.
Oh my
Fantastic for your
God,
body.
I love it. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have questions.
Amazing. Have
Okay.
at it.
Okay, so Cheryl said, I'm currently working out 1.5 to 2 hours almost every day, taking one rest day usually. She just said, I'm mind blown right now. Okay, so more of like a comment than a question.
Yeah. So she's probably mind blown because what's the question we ask? Why? Why are you working out an hour, hour and a half every day? Are you training for something? Great. Like make sure whoever's supporting you in that training and that goal knows how to make sure that your body has rest and recovery in there. Okay. If it's for fat loss, we need to scale it back. Okay.
Gotta scale it back.
Scale it back.
2
It's
hours.
not saying don't do it. We just need to scale it back. And I'm telling you right now, what's the name? Shirley?
Cheryl.
Cheryl, it's gonna be up here that's gonna mess with you the most. It's not gonna be your body. It's gonna be up here and you telling yourself, oh my God, I'm gonna gain weight. Oh my gosh, I should be doing something. What should be doing? I should be doing something. That's the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So journal it out, talk to Lindsay, something to guide you through it, because your body's not going to go into fat storage mode from you not work. It's going to do the opposite, but this is going to take some evolution for sure.
Oh my God, for sure. It is so, especially if you truly believe, if your thought process is like like you said at the beginning, I have to work out to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's
Like,
not about that anymore. It's not about it. Exercise and the benefits that we spoke at the beginning of the conversation that I said, this laundry list, that gives you the vessel of a body that burns fat naturally.
mhm.
Okay. But to get there, it's not through burning the calories and pounding it out, right? It's through a different way. And that's what women have to learn for sure, especially as we age.
I love that. So Michelle said, so walking my obnoxious puppy every morning for 20-30 minutes is good. Yes,
Yeah.
very, very good.
I love it. As long as he's not like obnoxious to you and driving you crazy. Yes, for sure. No, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Being outside is, as you know, Lindsay, like one of the best things that we can do, especially during times like this. Unprecedented times. How many times have you heard them say
Oh
that?
my
Drives
God,
me
we need
bonkers.
for unprecedented.
Times. But grounding yourself in nature is very deep breaths, right? And it'll be easier, obviously, as here in
Well,
northern
I think
climates, it gets better.
And I think it's true. It's like you said, it's not just for you. I think it's for everybody. Like even your kids, like Maddie and Sienna, they get rangy like now because we're up to almost 3 walks a day. So we have
Yeah.
like a mid-morning walk and then we have an afternoon walk when the girls get up from their nap. And then the other night we even went for like when it wasn't snowing, we went for a a pre-bed walk. And it's just nice because it helps to, if you're stuck in the house all day, it helps to sort of change up the scenery. The fresh air is really good. And I think it just kind of brings everybody, like it's exactly like you said, it sort of grounds everybody and brings them back down for sure.
That's restorative, right? Because people ask me all the time, well, what's restorative movement? That's restorative. Anything that's just going to bring everything down and then you're filling energy into your bucket.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it too, well, not that I want to get onto a whole other tangent, but if we are stressed out, our normal, not like our normal, but a lot of us, like, you know, our automatic inclination is then to reach for the things that aren't going to support us in our weight loss, like the junk food, like the alcohol, like all of that. Whereas like instead, you could do yourself so many, like, you know what I mean? Such a service of just being like, I'm out, I'm going for, like I did yesterday, I'm bailing out, I'm going for a walk, I'm out.
Yep. Yep. And it's again, it's a learned practice, becoming more in tune with what your body is saying to you and what it needs. And listen, I get it. Like, I know it's hard, especially when the goal is fat loss and feeling better about yourself. You don't trust what your body's saying to you, right? You feel like you've broken up post kids. You're just like, what the F happened to my body? So I get it. So it's a bit of a learned behavior to trust that some days just need to be a rest day, and that's okay. And some days, yes, I have the energy. I actually got a decent night's sleep. I'm going to go at it hard for this workout that I love, right? And understand the ebbs and flows in that, and that it's not set in stone every single day, right? We book out that time for sure, but sometimes it has to change on what your body and the energy demands that it needs.
Oh my God. I mean, especially with women, like during your cycle, like there's so many different.
Cycle's big. Yeah, cycle's big for
Cycle
sure.
is so big. Oh wait, hold on one second. Now there's like so many. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Here we go.
Not directly there to burn off the calories. Okay, so
Oh,
and if you're coming in,
hold on one second. Why is it? I know, it's like total replay. Okay. Okay, this is amazing. Can you clarify where particular workouts fall? What is HIIT considered? Is it cardio or strength? What is Pilates? I'm so overwhelmed.
It is a bit of overwhelming. It's basically, workouts are designated on the main system that it focuses on. So when we're talking about, you know, like a Peloton and spin biking, and I get it, like spin classes can have resistance in there too, 100%. But when primarily the system that's focusing is on cardiovascular, that's your cardio exercise. Okay. High intensity interval training, meaning that we have intervals of energy output that's very high, and then we have rest. You know, Tabitha, is that how you say it? I can't remember. Tabata is in there as well. Okay, energy output and then rest. Pilates, depending on the class. Same with a power yoga, depending on the class. You could be doing a huge energy output, holding a pose for 30 seconds, then going into a simple flow. It kind of depends. So I wouldn't, if you're doing two systems, a bit of cardio and a bit of resistance training, that's double thumbs up. It's good, right? But if you know that you're only focused on one system, that cardiovascular system, then we need to switch things up a little bit, for sure.
Gotta get the strength
for sure.
Gotta get the, plus when you're lugging around babies all day, like
you gotta get, that's functional fitness, right? That's about, you know, being able to carry groceries when you're 80 years old and things like that, right? So and the other thing with that whole cardio, when we're doing it a lot, we get metabolically bland. That's not bland, it's not the right word, but we adjust really fast.
We
adapt. So we get metabolic adaptation really quick. So that's why you see these ultramarathon runners, because their bodies just adapt to running for hours and hours on end. Their body doesn't change necessarily. They don't gain muscle tone. They don't lose weight. Okay, which also can happen. So hopefully that answers your question, but I would just look at the major system that invokes. And I think if you're doing a constant exercise straight for, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes or more, and it's the same exercise, it's more you're tapping into that aerobic system than anything else.
I love that. Such fire, you spit girl all the time. I love it. I love it.
So good.
Okay, so where can people find you?
Find me. So on Facebook, I'm at the Mojo Moni, because a lot of people call me Moni, it's a nickname. Mojo Moni Meta Boosting Group.
Oh wait, Moni, I'm going to interrupt you.
You have a question?
I think we have one more question. Okay. So with limited, this is a good one. With limited windows, the 2 days, 30 minutes I'm hearing have a few different body weight. Hold on. by limited windows. Okay, so with limited time, the 2 days, 30 minutes, I'm hearing have a few different body weight hit would yield best results. So like if you had limited time, like 2 days, I think that that's the question. Michelle, can you just confirm? So if you had limited time, say like 2 days, what would you do?
It depends what you were doing before. So if you've been working out consistently, I usually say over 3 months, then definitely go right into like your HIIT training, HIIT style training a couple days a week, and as long as you enjoy it. If you have not worked out consistently for the last 3 months or so, diving into 2 days a week of HIIT training may not be the best thing right now. Get your foundation of nutrition first, okay? Work on your sleep, water, stress, work on your NEAT, that non-exercise movement that we talked about. Go for walks, build that up, build the foundation first before you start diving into the big intense workouts. Okay, so hopefully that answered the question.
Totally, which I think we can both agree on too. It is always essential to focus on the nutrition first before you even get into the workouts, because I mean, and I think that's the other thing too. If you're working out 5-6 days a week, if your nutrition isn't supporting that, whew, girl, you have a lot. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, and I always say to my clients too, if it was as easy as meal plans and workouts, we'd all be walking around like J-Lo. Like it's not. And especially as we age, we need to make sure that we build that foundation there first before we start tweaking all the bells and whistles that go inside.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's dive in. So where can they find you? So Mojo Moni.
The Mojo Moni Meta Boosting Facebook group. It's a private group. You can find me on there. Also, monikatupholme.com is my website. There's even metabolic trainings on there, free resources there for you guys. And if you guys are on Instagram, it's Monika, again with a K, _Tupholme. I'm on Insta too.
Amazing.
See my pasta. This was so fun. I could talk about this stuff forever.
So
and ever
much,
and ever.
sweetie, for doing this. It's so good because it can be such a rabbit hole. And I just feel so much clearer hearing it the way that you say it. And I mean, my God, how great is that? Like it's important to focus on rest, which is great. Nice restorative workout. Like I love that. Going for walks, like just gold, all of it gold.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So if there's any questions moving forward, just send them my way and I'll answer for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And if you have any other questions, you can either comment below this video, reach out to me, and I can pass them on to Monika, whatever works for you. But we hope you found this helpful. So have a great day, guys.
Thanks, dude. Bye, guys.